Welcome to the Upholstery Show, live from Arlington, Massachusetts. We're going to serve you up a beautiful bowl of coconut fiber. Really?
Go ahead.
So welcome, you guys. That's our new introduction that Patrick has been working on. That if you've seen the other shows on the show, we talk a lot about batting, and one of the most popular battings that Jimmy, one of our favorite students, is coconut fiber. And it's a long story, but if you've seen the other ones, you know. But welcome. I can't believe it's been another week gone by, and another hot week here. Oh boy, has it been hot in New England. And yesterday we had a tropical storm come in, very windy. No damage locally around here, but we're blessed that there wasn't. But it's been quite a summer. Anyhow, so we're here. I'm going to get right into it. We got a new member who had a question. This is on the forum, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
Forum.
You want to start with that one first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Kathy, and she says, "Hi there, first timer here. I have this challenging mid-century chair to upholster, and what I am confused about is the seat. I'm not exactly sure how to wrap the fabric down and around the front and sides because the base is lined with a wood frame. So I can't just tuck the fabric under the chair. I made the mistake of tossing the original fabric pattern away, although the original green fabric underneath, the original, does look like it was probably sewn together. My skills in sewing are lacking. How do you think I should go about creating a new pattern? Do you happen to have any tips?" Well, there's two ways a wood base is attached to a chair. I'm just going to give you kind of an answer because one is that frame is screwed on usually by 4 screws, and it comes off independently. That would be the easier way for you, because then you could take the fabric underneath and then put the frame back on. But it looks to me like, you have a close-up here, yeah, it looks to me like this is attached. So all of the fabric was stapled or tacked, and then that double piping covers the tack work. However, when you're specifically talking about a seat on a chair, actually seats are usually, if you're in a shop and you're trying to learn upholstery, seats are usually the last thing you learn how to do because they're the hardest thing. So the first thing that you do as an apprentice would be the outsides, and then the insides, like the inside arm, the inside back, and then the seat. Seats, because usually there's a lot of flex in the seats, that's the hardest thing. And really, honestly, it's very hard to explain or describe that. Your best bet, really, and I think I recommended this, I already answered her, I think, in an email, was to take an online class, because in the online class, and I especially think about the tub chair class that we have online, that will show you how to do that. And there's another class about an ottoman that you might want to check out that has a similar problem than this. So, you know, that takes you really slowly, step by step, and as a beginner, I think that's your best bet, really. Did I mention, too, that this is a question and answer, so if you guys just feel free to ask questions or comments. I am trying to catch up on comments from YouTube and from Facebook and everything. That was a Facebook comment, that one. And I think, Patrick, did you have a picture of that chair up on that?
I did.
So that's a mid-century, yeah, it's a nice chair, really nice chair, vintage. Nice. This is a vintage too that we're going to talk about. If I get time, I'm going to show you on this. This is an interesting piece. We'll get to that hopefully. But anyhow, so that's that one. I'll just pause here for a minute. We don't have any questions. Okay. So we're starting.
We actually have one question, Michaela.
We have one question?
From Anil. A-N-I-L.
This is from Anil. What is the best fabric available for a sofa?
Best fabric. So that's a loaded question. Some people, if you have 3 kids and 2 dogs, your idea of a best fabric is almost like a commercial fabric that has a high double rub, for instance, a 200,000 double rub, meaning they take a machine, they rub it like this. It's a machine that does it, and after 200,000 of these, it starts to show a little threadbare. That's a very high double rub. So that's a good fabric for somebody who wants a very durable fabric. If you live, I just delivered a beautiful camelback vintage, traditional sofa the other day that was done in a white cotton and a very, very thin cotton. And, you know, as a woman lived alone, so for her, that's fine. She had a beautiful, very bright oriental carpet in a very small room. So for her, that fabric was perfect. It was a white fabric that kind of, she couldn't use any color in the room because the carpet was the color. And a very thin, lightweight fabric that's fine for her, but I wouldn't put it in the other place with the 3 kids and the 2 dogs, see? So it depends on your situation. I mean, some people love velvet. Some people love leather. So your question is kind of broad, I think, in its scope. So if he wants to follow up and be more specific, maybe I can answer a more specific question about fabrics. Okay? So just follow up if you like. I'd like to know where you're from too.
India.
Ah, India. Hello, India. So we have another. We get some of our materials we get from India. We get a lot of webbing, jute webbing, and we get spring twine from India. They make a for many years I've been using some products that we use in upholstery from India, so thank you for that, India. So the question that we have from Lisa, this is about the show, the Chippendale Work Continues.
Last week's show.
Last week's show from Lisa. She says, I really enjoy watching you, so interesting and such a pleasure to watch a craftsman who talks about traditional methods. I also appreciate the way you keep as much of the original piece as possible. I've inherited an antique chair that belonged to my great-grandma, and I'm going to try to redo it myself. No experience at all. Watching you has already taught me a lot, so fingers crossed. The chair is velvet with a diamond back tufted, hand-tied springs of double piping. Yikes. Listen, Lisa, you know, I feel sometimes that I'm pushing the online classes and it sounds self-serving, but really, you have to check out that upcoming class, Patrick, right? When is that going to be posted with the tufted back chair?
Who's that?
Michelle.
That's the next one.
The next,
You know,
Lisa-
Lisa's class just went up, so we're giving that a little time.
it would definitely be to your advantage, Lisa, to subscribe to the online classes and maybe even a yearly subscription, which I think is the best value. And there's a class that it's almost like designed for your chair. You know, hand tufted. Michelle does an extraordinary job, and I think we go into great detail, which detail you're not going to find in an average YouTube. Hey, I myself have, for instance, I have a tufted. I think it was how many parts was that tufted sofa, Patrick? It's one of the most popular series that we have up on YouTube for free.
Yeah, it was like 20.
And I show how to do it's called a soft tufted back. That's not what you want for your chair. So there's different forms of tufting. What you have is more of a traditional. What I was showing on those classes on YouTube, that series, is what we call a casual diamond tufting, and they're really long and big, and you know, they're not as pristine. The pleats are pristine as what you have. So what you have is more what Michelle had, which on that online class, she does a more traditional tufting that is a tighter pleat and it's deeper set, the buttons, and they're about 3 or 4 inches pleats. And that distinguishes from other pieces. And we have another comment.
This is from Ginny.
Hey Jenny, how you doing?
She's a member of our Facebook thing.
Yeah?
I'm trying to upholster a 1940s sofa. 3 attached cushions, I think, were filled with kapok.
Oh.
Replaced with kapok? ? I was considering 80-20 down feather, but in one video you used 50-50. What do you think?
50-50 definitely. If you can't reuse the kapok, I'm wondering what's wrong with the kapok, because kapok is another one of those really good battings, and kapok is very expensive to buy new, much more than a 50-50 down cushion. So I would advise a 50-50 down back cushion. By the way, the subject comes up. On the Broadway Upholstery School, we're offering custom cushions now. You guys should check that out, as well as a long list of supplies. I tried to keep it as simple as possible with the ordering, and you'll see if you go on there. We have comment sections on the ordering of the cushions specifically, so that you can ask questions about that or call me direct. So I realized how hard ordering materials was. I think in the beginning of our YouTube classes, I was kind of resistance on offering supplies and cushions, to be honest. I thought I didn't want to do that. Although what we found as the YouTube grew, and we have so many YouTube videos, there definitely was a lot of questions about materials. And a lot of people get mixed up with materials, and it's really understandable because it's a confusing world. It's like learning a new language with the materials that you need, and so we're offering this as a way of making it easy for you beginners and you journeymen. Some of you professionals who might like what I do on YouTube too. So check it out, BroadwayUpholsterySchool.com. And we have another question or comment.
Here's a follow-up from Anno.
A follow-up.
Yeah,
about fabric.
I am looking for fabric where we don't have any cats or dogs, but looking for durability. I heard Sunbrella does a better job. Your thoughts are much appreciated.
Yeah, I think the litmus test for fabric, for durability, is that double rub and stain resistance. And Sunbrella certainly fits the bill, although you must be careful with Sunbrella too, because not all Sunbrellas are the same. So anytime you buy fabric anywhere, you must get the information, the labeling information. Any legitimate company will have all the text, the technical stuff associated with that fabric. Usually, if you're getting samples, it's pasted to the back of the sample, and it gives you a wide variety of information. Double rubs. There's a test for sunlight, and they give you that, a UV test. If it's been treated and what was used to treat it. When you go into it, here's what you watch out for. Do not go into a fabric store, my advice, and buy fabric that has no labeling. You have no idea what it is. No idea where it came from or what it is. So that's not very wise. I mean, you want to know what the, you want to know what the fiber content is too. You want to know, if the fiber is 100% nylon or a mixture of cotton. Some people like a mixture of cotton and synthetic. So there's many. We actually have a YouTube video, Patrick, on fabrics.
Yep, a while back.
It's a while back. We might have to do a follow-up on that because I think I just covered.
It was called All About Fabrics.
All About Fabrics, yeah. But I remember doing that. It was a very surface. We could get really deep into that too. Really, believe me.
I guess it wasn't all about.
Huh?
I guess it wasn't all about.
No, yeah, I was scratching the surface. No pun intended. I don't know if there's a scratch test. I know there's a rub test, but maybe they should have a scratch test for cat lovers. Maybe what they should have is your fabric is 5,000 cat scratch proof, and after 5,000, the cat claws go through the fabric, and then they call us. That's why cats are our favorite animal in the whole world, right, Patrick?
I like dogs.
Dogs don't do as much damage. Yes, there's another question.
Here's a follow-up from Jenny.
Oh, hi Jenny, another follow-up. Good.
I think the sofa was stored outside and used as a trampoline.
Wow. That's got a story. What is that famous acrobatic troupe, the Wallendas? Is that them, Patrick?
I have no idea. Maybe
they had that sofa they used as part of their act or something. But yeah, if it was stored outside, you're dealing with mold. You're going to be starting over again. Don't go K-Park. It's too expensive. You're going to be going with 50-50 down feather. The reason 80-20 is not a good idea. First of all, it's more expensive, but that's not the reason not to use it. It's just too much down. Too much down is not as good, believe it or not. So what seems to work really well with down cushions, I'm talking about all down and feather cushions, not a spring core in the middle, okay, is that the feather portion of the feather is a stem, right? It has a stem. And then the down, which is right from here of the goose, which is pretty much all just fluff. So together they seem to offer a really good consistency. And what that means is breathability too. And that means that the cushion, and you do need some oomph to it. So the 80% is not good because there's not much oomph. It's too light. So definitely time-tested 50-50 down feather. And we have another question.
This is from Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
I got a Victorian chair with hay stuffing. I was thinking of changing it to foam, but I don't want to mess with it because it's old. Any advice?
You can't save hay. So hay is one of those battings, one of those old organic battings that aren't good. So if it were horsehair, I'd be telling you to try to keep it. So the hay, what happens to hay is it disintegrates, and if you've noticed, you probably have powder coming from the hay disintegrating. Now, however, if the edge rolls, if you can get a picture and send it along to us, even during this live, if you can do that. Well, how would they do that, Patrick? Where would they send a picture?
The forum. If he's a member of the forum.
If he's a member of the forum, is he?
I'm not sure.
He should join and send a picture of that if you can, because I want to see. Sometimes on the hay, they have a beautiful edge roll around the chair that still can be reused. You can build. I would suggest if you're going to reuse if there is a roll that you can reuse. Let me just show you. You know, you might have something like this made out of hay. It's probably triple layered like this, and it's all hand stitched. That is wrapped in burlap. That tends to stay and be preserved more than the interior of the hay, which is no good. But what you could do is, if you do have that, you could frame the chair out with that, and then if you can get some real horsehair, that would be great. If not, you can replace it with if you have springs. I assume you have springs. You need to do the burlap and then the rubberized horsehair. Again, a good source for that is the Broadway Upholstery School site, where you can check out. We have that offered on site. Rubberized horsehair is really a good solution, a replacement for what you have, and foam. And then the instructions you get from either the YouTube videos or online classes. So there's plenty of support for you guys. I realize the work that we put, 10 years of work into this. This is a huge effort. I mean, I can't tell you the thousands of hours that we put into these videos, and the expense that we put into it. I think we've got the best situation for everybody who's trying to learn how to upholster on anywhere. I really stand behind that. And if we have, if you have ideas for us on how to present it better, I want to hear it. And we love the comments that you're giving now. But this is the best explanation I can give for this particular problem. So we have another question.
This is from Pamela.
Hey, Pamela.
Speaking of down cushions, do you guys do something called spring down?
Yeah.
I believe it is a down envelope around a core of something else.
There's great confusion over these particular types of cushions. And I want to tell people, I'm glad Pam brought this up, because as I really, on my videos, what I go into a lot about, I make an analogy of upholstering and cooking, fine cooking. I like to say French cooking, right? You miss out one ingredient, or you put too much of one thing in cooking, and it's going to taste different. It's the same thing in upholstery. And there are a lot of people out there who say they can make a spring and down cushion, but there's very few who pull it off correctly. And you have to be real careful too. There's a consistency factor to these too. So we have the finest product. Again, I'm sorry to bring it up again, but I will, because you can make huge mistakes. There's a lot of people out there offering things that really aren't what they appear to be. For over 40 years, I've learned to use the best products that I can, or a combination of products, which is what we tried, which was what we just tried to do here with this explanation. But so when you say spring and down, people don't realize it's much more elaborate than you think it is. I could just go through it if you want a little bit. So you start out with what they call a Marshall unit, which is a very specific spring unit, which we started putting in with cotton years ago. But the unit hasn't changed much, and if it does, that's one of the first problems. So if you have a replacement unit, like for instance you use a nylon spring, or you use a gauge spring that isn't as good as the Marshall unit, then you have a problem right from the get-go. That's what happens. Right from the get-go you got a problem. Let's say you have a Marshall unit. Then you have to have a beautiful cover for that, a muslin cover that won't make noises. Okay, that's another problem. People use an alternate, right? They'll use an alternate and it squeaks, for instance. Things like that. You'd be surprised. So I'm going to count how many components are in a really good spring and down cushion. I'm going to stop. I'm going to just think, if I can think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would say by the time you're done with the outer covering, which that envelope of down and feather, you have at least 10 ingredients to a really good seat cushion. And that's just seat cushions. We just had a question about back cushions, totally different. You do not want a spring unit in a back cushion. We're talking just seating, okay? Because you tend, when they first came out, the miracle of these was, okay, you're going to get support and comfort at the same time. That was really strange to hear. It's like jumbo shrimp, right? But it's pulled off within that cushion. And you need at least a 4-inch cushion, by the way, Pam. You can't do it in a smaller cushion. So don't even bother doing it. Anything under 4 inches, don't bother. Because you need, that's all those ingredients that have to go in to make a good cushion, right? So this is a really good, Patrick, we could do a whole video on just springing down cushions.
Well, I think it's very fitting that all these cushion questions are coming up because we just launched the whole cushion thing.
That is interesting.
Cushions I've noticed, I'm new to it, and you knew it the whole time, Dad.
Yeah.
But I've noticed how popular cushions are, you know, and there seems to be a demand for them, that's for sure.
There's a
lot
real
of people trying to find the best cushions.
You know, the upholstery has so many hidden secrets, you know, and then we try to, we don't really get into cushions with the online classes. I have to admit, they've just not come up in any YouTube videos too, I don't think.
Well, the cushions do, it's usually the last step, remember, in online classes, it's the very last thing.
That's right.
Like with Jimmy's most recent one, that was the last thing he did.
Right. Okay, we have another question, Michaela?
Yes, this is from Anna again. Thanks for your time. In modern sofa manufacturing, what kind of sitting base? I mean, springs or only webbing, pocket spring or bonnel spring used in modern sofa manufacturing?
Yeah, I could tell he's new to our station because we go into a lot of this. How many? We have over 200 videos almost up, Patrick, or more?
That's crazy.
So we go into a lot of that in our videos and our online classes, but he's asking about an end of the business, which for all you people who want to be upholsterers and starting their own businesses and being professional about it, you're going to have to deal with modern furniture, manufactured furniture, because of big sales. I'm starting to do it myself. I'm starting to offer, for instance, so getting back to his question, manufacturers tend to go the cheapest way they can, period. Even the middle. The only coil springs you get, which are the best seating underneath the cushion I'm talking about, not the cushion that you can get. You're talking about your high-end manufacturers today, where you're spending between $6,000, $8,000, or $10,000 for a sofa. That's American-made, hand-tied 8-way coil springs with the hardwood frame. You're getting, you know, the Cadillac of furniture. But then most of your furniture manufacturers, middle to upper middle to lower, and to even below that, are using zigzag springs, are using, you know, just stretched webbing and things like that. That's it. So, but we're going to have to deal with this because the further along we go in the upholstery world, the fewer and fewer beautiful pieces of furniture, you know, traditional furniture, that you get. So you're going to have to deal with it if you want to make a living out of upholstery and come up with solutions. So we think we've come up with something, for instance, we're trying to work with, I won't mention any brand names, but furniture that's in the middle or lower middle, and a lot of the things that can be done are in the cushions. So I recently, within the last couple of years, I got a call from a person who was very unhappy with a sectional sofa. They had made a big commitment. You know, this isn't, you know, even though it's lower end or middle of the line, you're still paying a few $1,000s for this furniture. So you're expecting it to be comfortable, you know, at least for 10 years, right? And the fabric to last. Well, as soon as they sat in it outside of the showroom, they hated it, and then they had good reason to. It was really awful. The filling was just too firm. The cushion, the seat underneath wasn't doing any good for them. So they called me up and I said, listen, you can go to a higher end cushion and we can get all the comfort within that seat cushion. And we did about, oh boy, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, must have been 8 cushions. And we changed out to spring and down cushion. Guess what? Problem solved for at least the period of time that the upholstery fabric will last. However, after about 10 years, they've upgraded. So So they've upgraded to a better sofa. As long as the frame has held up for the next time, they can get that upholstered and reuse those cushions. And they can get another upholstering out of a piece of furniture that you might not have thought would be able to be reupholstered, right? Does that make sense? So there's a lot to this. I could talk, you guys, I could talk for 2 days just about cushioning. So if you have any other questions, and we have another one coming in
There's
now.
about like 3 comments here,
Okay,
starting with Jenny, you know.
okay.
So Jenny says, so my seat cushions are spring wrapped in cotton, but springs are not wrapped in muslin. Do you think I should replace with your cushions?
She has a very old style cushion. She has, that's the original, I guess that these are old cushions. That's the original spring in a cushion, right? That's what she has. And see how rudimentary that is. So for that cushion, what she has, it's a little bit more than you might think. But anyhow, it's the Marshall unit. And then she's got so much cotton. She's got like probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cotton's about this thick, natural cotton, about this thick. I bet you she has 10 layers of cotton around that to make the cushion. And if she lifts that cushion, it's got some weight to it. It's going to be heavier than any foam cushion she's ever picked up. So believe it or not, I try to save those. But didn't she say that was outside? That piece? Or was that Pam? What was somebody? So
That was Jenny, yes.
that was her. So she's got to replace. No, the best replacement. If this is for a high-end client, I mean, you need to charge for this. This is a different. I don't know if this is for her or not, but the best replacement for that is a spring and down cushion. Yes, absolutely. So that's the answer to that. Were there comments,
There's a
Patrick?
few more, one more from Daniel, and then
Okay.
Erica left a funny comment.
Okay.
Daniel says, the chair is at my mom's house and I have no Facebook, but I will the next time I travel there. But I haven't been there in 3 years. Awesome advice, thank you. I might have more questions in the future.
You're
You
welcome.
can also, I'm not sure if he obviously has a computer or a phone, if he's watching, you can also email us with the pictures, it doesn't have to be Facebook.
And what's the email, Patrick?
Broadway Upholstery School @gmail.com.
Okay.
And there's one from Erica.
Okay, Erica.
Last night I watched you do the cushions for a sofa on YouTube. Watching you is like watching the Highland Games for upholstery. You're so fast at assembling that sofa cushion.
I'm familiar with the Highland Games. I've heard about those. I won't mention something that I heard about it though, because it's not kosher. But yeah, Highland Games. I think she knows what I'm talking about. I don't have to say anything else. But that's funny. I think you need to be athletic, right? Yeah.
Ginny responds with it is actually for her.
Okay, so she can for her definitely the way to go if you want comfort would be the spring and down. That's the replacement for what she has. But it's, in my opinion, it's an upgrade from the original spring and cotton cushions. It's interesting though, isn't it? She could do a history on cushions with that, show that and then show the modern one. Yeah, so if she's interested in doing that, she go to the website and we can help her out. So is there any other questions or comments live?
Nope, not right
So
now.
we're going to try to catch up with last week's upholstery show from Lisa. I think I answered that, right, Patrick?
Yeah, you're on there's a comment on there.
Another comment?
No, that I put there. There was more of like you have to check that one out.
Well, we're going
Number
on to...
2.
Huh?
Number 2.
Well, I don't see that here, Patrick. But, oh, well, hold on. No, I don't see that. I'm going to go on to the next question, which is... So I got that.
Yeah, that's done. I put numbers on it. Look, this one here.
Oh, that goes down here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't see that. He's right. Patrick's very good at this. If you notice, by the way, I have to throw out really compliments to the team here, Michaela and Patrick, that they've done. You guys don't know the half of what goes on with the editing and what Patrick just did there is the producing. I think, I can brag because he's my son too, but I can tell you that 25 years ago, you couldn't do something like what we're doing here, these live shows, these online classes, obviously.
Unless you were a major
major network.
Major network, yeah.
So the equivalent of what he's done, I mean, this is just technology too, but also a know-how. I can hardly
And
tell
I
you.
still don't think it's perfect, it could be better.
He's modest, but I always equate what he's done here in the shop is he's created a studio. I mean, it's the only other way I can tell you. And I know this firsthand because I think I've mentioned this before, years ago, about 25 years ago. I was on a pilot, it was a spin-off of This Old House. And I know I mentioned this in another live, but it's worth mentioning again. And I remembered the equipment that needed to be used. They had a producer or a director. The producer might have been somewhere else. A director. They had a light person. They had a sound person. They had 3 camera angles. The cameras were about 10 times bigger than the camera that we have. Actually, a professional camera that you guys probably have never seen. That you're looking at me now on. It's not a handheld. It's not it's not an iPhone. And that cameras, I remember the cameras that they had to be on stands. I mean, they were heavy. They probably weighed a few hundred pounds each. I don't know. But the point is, we can do so much more, and that's what makes it so nice that we can make all this available, and the flexibility we have is incredible. I think Patrick does an extraordinary job, so, you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So number 2 to the art of spitting tacks, number 2. Do you have a picture of this up, Patrick? Is that why
I
you
forgot that one.
This is from Aaron. He says, I'm pretty sure all pneumatic staplers and nail guns have a safety switch to not allow the gun to be fired unless the switch is firmly pressed against the workplace, and he is absolutely right. And I have a confession to make. So this is true confessions of a seasoned upholsterer, right? And I probably will get in trouble for saying this. I removed my safety on the guns because they actually are more of a hindrance and are more for me because I'm going at a faster pace, and I wouldn't advise beginners or journeymen to remove the safeties from their staplers. I wouldn't advise you to do that. And these are staple guns. These are upholstery staple guns that have 80 pounds of pressure, and the staple's about 3/4 of an inch long. If it goes in your finger, you're going to feel it, and you're going to hurt, and you're going to get black and blue. You're going to remove the staple or have somebody else remove it for you. You're going to hit a bone. It's going to hurt. But they're not nail guns. Okay, nail guns definitely do not remove the safety from a nail gun. So a nail gun's going to shoot out a nail that's 4 inches long. That's much different, and you're talking about much more pressurization. However, that said, if I was starting out and I have used the safety in the beginning, and right now I have to say I'm not. So because I have to move quicker, pretty much. That's why. But Aaron's very intuitive. He noticed that he picked up on that, and I thank him for that. So I wouldn't advise anybody to do remove the safeties. Sorry about that. So we have another question?
Yeah, we have a couple.
Okay.
Janine asks, can we make our own Marshall units?
You could order Marshall units. I don't do that. It's one thing, some of the things that I've kept off the site are for reasons, okay? I don't even make my own cushions because of what I just said earlier. I leave it to I'm in charge of the customization, of the measurements, and the follow-up, and the quality control, and all that. And believe me, you need to be on top of the people who are making them for you. I don't make them here. I'll tell you, because they are an entity. They are a specialty unto themselves, really. But if you want to experiment, feel free. Feel free to do that. Just make sure that you get a Marshall unit that is a Marshall unit. You could try yourself. I just find that it's harder than you might think. So you could give it a shot. So there's another question.
Robert says, I sent Kevin a picture of a couple of Orphan chairs dropped off in front
Oh,
of my
right.
shop.
Yeah. I saw that. That's from that Kansas City upholsterer, Patrick.
He's really cool.
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
he reminds me, I'm not sure if he has a picture, I think it's on, he reminds me of that guy from Mythbusters. He looks kind of like the other guy with the hat.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little bit like him.
Actually, it was a very mysterious text message I got, and he didn't give his name. I didn't know who it was. It said, I have some Orphan chairs left out in the front. I didn't know it was him, so I first thought it was a local somebody, and they were going to give them to me. I wish. But
Did you talk to him on the phone for a while?
I did
while back.
earlier, but
Very
then
nice guy.
I followed up and I said, he's lucky to have those as orphans because they're really nice. So does he say anything else?
No.
Yeah. There's another question though.
Janine says this is definitely the best upholstery channel on YouTube. I've looked at so many over the years. Yours is the best by far, plus it's funny.
Great. Well, Ginny, I really appreciate that compliment. I think the humor, I remembered when I first opened business years ago, I had an older gentleman who owned a suits manufacturer. He was a suits salesman, owned a suit store. Like think Brooks Brothers or something like that. And he was helping us. And he once told me something interesting. He said, the most important thing to do is he looked at the threshold of the shop. You know, the front of the door has a threshold on the bottom. And he said, you see that threshold? He said, the hardest thing to do is to get people to cross that threshold and to use you, be a customer, pretty much. And he went into the comfort level that people need and all that. The humor is used. We try to be careful with the humor, of course. We try to be sensitive too, and I think we are. The humor is used to put you at ease, the approachability factor and all that, when it comes to especially beginners. And another thing that I will say is that for 4 years I taught this upholstery as a therapy, which I'm very proud of that. I can't talk too much about it. I can't use names and things like that. But it was a project that was teaching upholstery to people with major, psychological problems and things like that. That, as somebody that was just from industry teaching that to people, I really learned quickly that I needed to present it in a way that wasn't threatening. So I think I carry that over to the classes and the online classes. So Ginny, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. So yes, another question.
This is from Anna again. What kind of foam on spring unit is high durable? Also, over spring unit, what kind of material do you recommend, cotton or foam?
Boy, I love the questions that he's asking. And I'm laughing because they're loaded questions, really. They're a really good question. And I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the question, Taylor, because he's got a lot in there.
All right, the first one was what kind of foam on spring unit is high durable? Okay,
stop right there. So he's talking about a spring unit that's inside a, I'm assuming, I'm only going to talk about what I know is the best cushion. Okay, so the foam that they use is a high density foam, and it's probably about a mid ultra foam, high density foam, good quality foam. And it's not used all over. Now this is interesting. The way it's done, and I'm giving away some secrets here, is the foam is actually like a border around the cushion, right? As I recall, if there is foam in the interior or on the top and the bottom, it's a very thinner layer than what they use on the outside. So you get an idea of how this is done. You know, it's layered and it's time tested, and you know, this is prototypes after prototype after prototype. So it's a high density foam. That's the answer to that question. So what was his other, he had like 3 questions in one.
The second one was, over spring unit, what kind of material do you recommend, cotton or foam?
Definitely do not recommend cotton. Cotton is, just eliminate that from the ingredient, because cotton, although a wonderful batting, and we talk about the uses of cotton and where to use it, for a loose cushion, a cushion that has a lot of play, cotton would be a disaster, except on the cushion that Pam had, or Jenny, who was the one that had the spring unit with the cotton wrap. The difference between that cotton is that it's layered tight. It's tight layered, and then a machine compresses it. On a spring unit, modern spring units, you would never put AAA cotton anywhere near it. You're replacing the AAA cotton with either foam or Dacron. So Dacron would be the replacement, so it would be Dacron. So is that it?
Yes. This is from LB.
That's a good question, Anna.
What?
This is a very good question.
Is this a new person, Patrick? I think so.
It seems familiar, though. They've commented in the past.
She's got a
really good question.
Okay.
Have you ever burnt out burned out or lost passion for upholstery. Feel like I'm at that stage and wondering how to get back in it.
Yeah, so that's a valid question. Somebody once asked me a very loaded question. What does it take to be a good upholsterer? Boy, is that a loaded question. It's funny. This question, don't let me forget the question, but I'm going to go off a little bit here. Like, if people know me, they know. Recently, Edward Scissorhands' house, if you guys know the movie Edward Scissorhands, the house in the movie is up for sale. I think it's a suburb of Tampa. And it's for $220, I don't know if Patrick can find a picture of the house, but it's $224,000. If any upholsterer in Tampa, if I were in Tampa and I were an upholsterer, I would be looking to buy this house because what better, right, Patrick? I would move my shop there if they would allow me, if the zoning would allow me. What better house to be working out of would be Edward Scissorhands' house. I know it's a cult movie and all that. And he was a robot, you know. I don't know if you're not familiar with the movie. He was a robot that was invented. Actually, Vincent Price was the scientist who invented him. If you believe that. And I guess he's a robot. And Vincent Price dies, and I guess the only thing he could do with the hands. So instead of real hands, he put on scissors, right? And he's got all these scissors. A perfect upholsterer, right?
So that's the house? What the hell? I never seen that movie.
Did you put it up?
I thought it was going to be some sort of mansion or something.
Well, there was a mansion in the movie, the scientist's house, where Vincent Price made him. There was a mansion.
This is a regular house.
That's a regular house where the realtor she found Edward Scissorhands in the house and took him in, and that's her house. But if I were, for a marketing standpoint, and I guess it answers the question, how do you keep engaged? I mean, this is one way to do it. I actually look forward to these. I've been looking forward to these live shows. I'm here with my son and his girlfriend, and I enjoy this. It's
There's the house. It's up now.
Patrick's got Edward Scissorhands' house. If you're in Tampa Bay and you're an upholsterer and you want to add a little spice and you don't want to be burnt out, you want some fun, buy that house if you can and live in it. And there's a marketing. Marketing's a big thing. Let's face it. No matter what you do, so you need to find ways. And let's face it, you guys. Upholstery can be long hours of boring stuff, just taking staples and tacks out. You could be doing that. I guess the other thing I try to do is mix things up when it comes to the work. I try to pick and choose which what mood I'm in. I actually go by moods. For instance, if I'm tufting a beautiful settee, I can't have it hot. It can't be hot. Right now it's hot in the shop, even with the AC on, because I don't want to sweat, first of all. But I need, usually I'll tell you, usually if I'm doing a diamond tufting settee, I have the classical music on, and it's cool. And I'm in a good mood. Usually it's early morning, too, I try to save the dirty work. I try to put all that together, so that I don't get the beautiful tufting dirty. So things like that. And then further than that, what better way to market? Look for ways of marketing yourself in the furniture that you're doing. Like, we have John Belushi's sofa, that we just featured, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
Did we feature that in a YouTube video?
We had it in a couple of live shows, I remember.
The John Belushi sofa, and I've been fortunate enough, I've been around long enough, I actually did Napoleon's chair. I actually upholstered his chair, his own chair, his private chair.
Check out the blog post for that.
Check out the blog post for that, and there's the chair next to the death scene of Napoleon. I mean, I'm blessed that way. And I have to tell you, I just looked at a job yesterday. I didn't even tell Patrick this. You guys are learning all this together. I went to the job. I looked at, it's a reupholstery job. It's a very basic, sofa and chair, but I noticed that the upholstery on it was absolutely stunning. I mean, it's old, but the workmanship was stunning. So I said, somebody did this who was really good. And they said, yeah, and they told me the upholsterer's name, and I recognized his name. It's one of the best. He's no longer with us. But what the story that I wanted to tell you is that in 1984, I think it was 84, the Pope, I'm Catholic, so I love the Pope. The Pope visited Boston, and guess who did his chair? Guess who upholstered his chair, or made his chair for the Pope to sit on while he was here? This upholsterer. So there you go. I mean, if you're in business long enough, you're gonna find interesting pieces of furniture. And so I would suggest to spice things up, we're gonna get to this hopefully. I got a big mouth today and I haven't even got to this.
I don't think you will. You still have a lot of. I got another question.
No,
here
I'm
from
gonna
Pam
get to
on
this, but you know, look up the history of furniture. Even if you're vague, we had one thing that comes to mind is that 1860 chair. Speaking of the Kansas City upholsterer, Patrick. Robert. Speaking of Robert, we found a chair, an old Victorian chair that we were upholstering with information that had come from Kansas City around the same time that the gunslingers were out there, like Billy the Kid and all those crazy guys that were shooting at each other. And boy, it sounds, but never mind. But anyhow, Kansas City, Missouri, and Patrick had a picture. You could go on YouTube and look it up, 1860 cowboy chair.
Right.
That's what he named it, the video. And we had fun with that. And Patrick has, so it's engaging. You engage yourself through the history of the furniture, and I guarantee you will not be bored.
Well, that's another good answer to that question is, start a YouTube channel. We don't mind competition. We want people to make...
I think it's great. Competition is very flattering. If people want to fashion a YouTube channel after what we did, that's fine. We have another question.
This is from Lois.
Is Lois new, perhaps?
Can you please give me a tip on sewing double cording using thick vinyl fabric?
Okay. It's the same way that I show. We have a video on that, the YouTube video on how to do a double welt. There's a couple of key things there. You need a double welt foot, definitely. One with 2 grooves in it is a double welt foot. You need absolutely the double welt piping that's sewn together with a very thin, like, threading around it. It's just 2 regular welting, but they're sewn together. You cannot do a double piping with 2 single pieces of piping. It's impossible. I mean, I've seen people do it, but you have to be very skillful, and you can't make a mistake. But it's the same. Here's another tip. This is why you guys tune into me, I think. Listen carefully. If you're doing vinyl anything, at your side, if you're doing a cushion or double welting or whatever, sewing I mean, make sure you got a can of silicone at your ready. Silicone on the machine and on your vinyl won't stain the vinyl, but will let your material slide easily along. Isn't that a great tip? Believe me, that tip there will save you so much aggravation. So there you go. Thanks for the question. Really good question. We have another question.
This is from Anil. Can you demonstrate different types of spring units available in modern sofa manufacturing?
You know,
8-weight, hand-tied still exists, or any new type of available for high durable?
So he's getting like springs mixed up. He's talking about 8-weight tie springs in the bottom of the cushion, not in the cushion. But I think we should, Patrick. I think definitely we should.
Right.
Pat.
Yeah.
I think we should go further into cushion manufacturing and custom cushions and all that.
I think definitely, especially ties into what we're doing now on the site. So
yeah, I definitely think we should focus on that. It's a good question. But he's asking some really intelligent, pointed questions, and he's got. So this is a good example of why we started the YouTube channel and why I started selling supplies. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there, Patrick. It's a terrible amount. I guess it's true in every field probably. But this is why we do what we do. We want to educate people. We want the upholstery industry maybe to have an upheaval of things. We think it's a great business. Just on a recycling end of things, it's a great business. Just if you look at the recycling that upholstery does, the best recycler in any town is the upholsterer. Look what we're saving from the landfill. Come on. So that's why we're here. That's why we've for 10 years been doing this and thousands of hours of work. And so thank you for tuning in. So we got number 3 here. This is from the Whimsical Chair. That sounds like an upholstery shop, right? 4 days ago, we were talking about waterfall skirt tips, and she or he wrote, I've been doing upholstery for 12 years. 12 years, by the way, is the point of you're through your journeyman, you're through your apprenticeship, you're through your journeyman period, and you are on your way to having your own shop, to perhaps doing everything. What I mean by that is from A to Z. You're seeing the customer, you're selling the job, you're estimating the job, you're estimating the labor and the fabric on the job, you're securing the job, you're bringing the job in, you're stripping it down yourself, you're cutting the fabric, you're sewing all the cushions, you're putting everything together, and you're delivering the chair. And that's from A to Z, from everything. After the 12-year period, you're on your way. Some people wait another 4 or 5 years and start fine-tuning their skills to get speed before they open up their own shop. So you get maybe into 15 years where you're confident enough. I would say between the 15 and the 20-year period, you're ready to open up your own shop. And that's an exciting time for sure. And then there are other challenges associated with that. But maybe we should do a video on that too, Pat, or what it takes to run a shop like this.
Yeah, we got to write down these ideas.
Tell you though, we got it down to a science. I'm sorry, Pat. I didn't mean
a lot of good stuff we're getting from you guys today. Always
this is an earlier time. Maybe that's key. I don't know, Patrick.
Yeah.
So, she says, thank you. I really enjoy your videos, and thank you for taking the time to share. Thank you. So now we got, this is about upholstering an 8-way tie, hand-tied spring. This is one of our most popular earlier videos that we've done. That's what I like about upholstery, you guys. Unlike the tech business, things don't change that much in the upholstery business. So this old video that we did, how long ago was that, pal?
10 years old.
Okay, 10 years ago, what was the technology like for, let's say, a computer? Or let's say an iPhone. What was
the phone we used, I'll tell you right now, it seemed very old.
What was
back
it?
On it, but it wasn't.
What was the phone 10 years
It was
ago?
an iPhone 4.
iPhone 4. What do we have today?
11.
So we have an 11, which has better filming an 11. But the point I wanted to make is that 10 years ago we did that hand-tied coil springs. We could have done it 20 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 100 years ago, and it would have been the same technique that we use today. So that's what I like about upholstery. You know, we're not cutting edge. I'll show you what a cutting edge technology is in this business. Is this clinch it, which is used to put. This is like an 80-year-old tool. This is cutting edge in the upholstery world, right? What isn't cutting edge is the technology that we're using to do these classes and everything. But for the skill itself, that's cutting edge. That's what I like about it. You know, we don't have to study the new. I mean, there are new methods come out all the time. Manufacturers usually, and honestly, they're not as good as to me. I'm a real traditional guy. They're not as good as the traditional methods, and that's exactly why I felt as a therapy, upholstery is wonderful. To teach it and to just be an upholsterer, I think is good therapy. You should have seen me before. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. We got the 5 question here that is from. It says the not so ignorant. That's the name of the I don't know. Who's the name? Is it a business, Patrick?
News of some of them are just funny names.
That's a funny name. How to make double piping. So this is a good segue from the question that we just had. Thank you for this. I've had to retrench all my workman's staff. This is actually very interesting, you guys. Very timely, contemporary, what we're going through right now. She says, I've had to retrench all my workman's staff in the last few months with the lockdown, paralyzing my interior decorating business, and I'm now sewing all the curtains and doing the upholstery, hanging the wallpaper, and doing the installations too. I used to design them, not make them, and I'm determined to do as good, if not better job than my staff used to do. I have to if I want to survive. 2 antique sofas came in this morning and I can't find the right gimp for them, which means I have to make double welting to finish them off. I found this instruction video very helpful and blessings to me. Well, you know what, guys, that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? So you got a person that owns a small business. She's struggling with this coronavirus and these social issues that we've had. Her world has shrunk, where she's the one that has to make this, but she's getting what I'm doing on the video. She's able to survive. Which, hey, listen, what greater compliment is that, you know? So she has enough information, enough knowledge already, so that she can apply that to the videos. What great use for the videos that she is doing. So my blessings back to her, and I hope and pray that her business comes back, and I know it will, and that she can hire her people back, and then she has a better understanding of how her people struggle sometimes with the work. The work sometimes is not easy. So I'm glad that I'm able to provide this service. I think it's wonderful. I thank you for the comment. I mean, Patrick, what better compliment, right, Patrick? We're helping people, through some tough times. How many other people are out there that we don't know, that don't comment, that are also hopefully benefiting from the videos, I hope. So then we have from Robert, he says a Chippendale restoration update. He says taking a coffee break. Nice work, Kevin. So that's good. I take it he's in work. He's probably working behind a desk, maybe working at home, but behind a desk. And he's one of these people that, I'll tell you, I used to teach night classes. I can't do it anymore. It's too hard for me. I used to teach until 10:30 at night.
Well, can't teach any class anymore.
Well, right now, but when I was younger, Patrick didn't know. When I was a younger man, I would be teaching 2 or 3 times a week at night, until I'd work a full day from 7 in the morning until 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then go a couple of communities over and prepare a class from 7 to 10:30 at night in a town called Brookline, which is near here. And I used to have 12 to 14 people in that class. Can you believe it, Patrick? And I would be teaching at night, and then getting home at like 11:30 at night. And listen, this is what you have to do sometimes. Guess what, you guys? That made me a better upholsterer. And the reason I thought about this is because Robert, so here's a guy that he's white collar, and he gets bored. All my people, I had doctors, nurses, I had all kinds of professional people that would take my class, and it was a great outlet for them. Fantastic. Upholstery is a great outlet. If you've never done it, try it. Look at our videos, try it. Go on our Broadway Upholstery and get some supply. Get some basic tools and try your hand at some of the easier repairs first. We have button kits. We have kits that we've designed to make it easy for people. You have a button that pops out of a sofa. There's no better feeling than to fix that professionally using the videos and our supplies. It's really, really cool. So I would teach. I had so many different people that taught my classes. I had chairmen chairmen of the board. I had doctors, like I said. I remember one doctor I had, plastic surgeon, right? And he was telling me, he was getting frustrated. He was doing some work with his hands, and the fabric wasn't pulling out. And he says, skin is so much easier to work than this fabric. I said, why is that? He said, because you can stretch skin every way. And I know, but he was frustrated with the work. See, so a trained doctor's frustrated sometimes, but I worked him through it, and he enjoyed it. But so I guess the point is that Robert says he's taking a coffee break, and he's watching a video of mine while he's taking a coffee break. That's a good compliment too, isn't it, Patrick?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Anyhow, speaking of coffee, you could tell, as usual, I'm on my 3rd cappuccino, which explains a lot of my... we should count the words, Patrick, sometimes.
Dangerous.
Patrick. we should count the words that we use sometimes in an hour-long episode, right?
Whatever machine will be counting your words will probably break.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I know. No, I can't do that anyhow, because I feel as though...
Well, our camera's about to die, so...
You're kidding. What time is it? Am I...
Almost 4.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
we still got Pam's post to get to.
Yeah, let's get to Odette. I wonder where Odette's calling from. She said, upholstery question of the week, replacing webbing. Hi, I have a question about how to web a very old set of patio furniture. They currently have seat cushions with the built-in frame with springs. The cushion fits in the rest of the few boards that are placed inside the frame of the chair. This is a long one, you guys. I want to replace those cushions with non-spring cushions and web the chairs and the sofa. However, since the boards or pieces of wood that the cushions rested on are 2 inches or so below the top of the empty space, I cannot web from the bottom. I couldn't turn the furniture over and web from the bottom. I could web from the top, but then I would be stapling it to the frame from the top. Would I be better off just getting slats of food? It says food, but I know that's got to be something else. Wood fitted into the empty space rather than webbing, or could I staple the webbing inside the frame? I hope I'm explaining this clearly. Thank you. That's a long one, man. I'm telling you. I think I answered her. I studied this question a little bit more and I tried to decipher it a little bit. And I did answer her in an email, but it just brings up, it's the online classes and the YouTube videos. You should, if you have questions that are specific like that, try to go on the Broadway Upholstery School YouTube channel and just try to search out your question. And I think the light is blinking now, Patrick. Does that mean the battery's going
Yeah, I
out?
just change it out real quick. All right.
All
We'll
right.
get to that next one.
Okay, I
We'll
have
be right back.
We're back. We had to replace the battery because I'm talking so much, but it brings up another thing, the funny thing.
I have to interrupt a major development right now, Dad.
Major development. What
Major
is
development.
it? What is it?
Janine has given us our first super chat with a generous donation of $39.
Oh, really? Thank you. We really appreciate that. Well,
That's awesome.
She must see the hard work that we're doing and performing. You know what, too? I want to say, I think that if you guys follow the station, if you're just starting a career, and I think Janine has opened up her business, Patrick. I think she is doing it professionally. I think that, I dare say that you can start making, I don't want to sound like one of those infomercials either, but I really do believe in all the things that we've done. I believe in the 10 years experience on YouTube that we have, and the almost 45, I hate to think of it, almost 50 years of skill behind that. And I think if anybody's trying to make a little bit of money in a cottage industry or whatever, this is the way to do it, really. And I think I have confidence enough, even if you have no skill at all in anything else, I think you can do this. I think with these videos you can, and the learning techniques and the teaching techniques, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I was going to catch you up a little. Jenny says, I watched over a year, but didn't comment until my upholstery school closed. I found that Kevin clearly explained things and that I was instructed to do, but I didn't understand. We have, so I mentioned, we've seen a lot of activity on the channel since the pandemic has gone on.
We've seen, but getting back to her comment, she was going to a live school. She was going to like an adult education or a bona fide school.
Right.
And that closed. Now she's putting this, and that's why she's rewarding us. And I don't know anything about that, Patrick. Would you explain that chat thing? I don't know what it is.
What do you mean?
I don't understand what she did. She donated some
No,
money.
that was Janine. Jenny, there's Jenny and there's Janine too.
Oh boy. Well, getting back to Janine, because I'm really.
Janine gave us the super.
Was that an unsolicited donation?
That's just a #1 fan.
Tell me what that is, though, Patrick. Explain that.
I'll tell you after the whole thing.
What?
I know we're running out of time, but
All right.
Jenny. See, I just did it.
Okay.
Jenny was the one whose school closed.
There you go. Perfect example. I know you guys can benefit from that experience and turn that into dollars in this time. We had a single woman with 2 kids who contacted us a few years ago who said that she was using it to supplement, to get some income for her children, which I thought was fantastic. So if we can make a difference like that, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And I'll follow it up again. He has a lot of good questions. Said I would like to see, or in comments, I'd like to see a video. I would like to see a modern sofa manufacturing video on this channel. That might be tough to do. As very less information is available on the web. What kind of base, what kind of cushion material, fabric should be used. Yeah. Pretty much, an A to Z type thing. We have some of those, but not for modern. Right?
So here's the thing about manufactured furniture. There's no such thing as A to Z. There's no such thing as one upholsterer doing A to Z of manufactured furniture. They got people doing, and they do it on purpose. Assembly lines, they don't want anybody learning too much so that they go off and make their own sofas. So what they do is they have a team of people on an assembly line, and then one guy does an outside back, one guy does the seat, one guy does this, one guy does that. They never do the whole piece. So this is one of the problems I have with manufacturers. 100 years ago, 150 years ago in America, because we'll talk America because I know he's from India, we had downtown people. We had our blacksmiths. You know, don't get me going. You know, we had our upholsterers. We had our. They all did everything. They did everything. They did from A to Z. That's what makes this all unique, because I'm doing it A to Z. So you don't get that. I don't think anywhere else, or hardly anywhere else. But anyhow, manufactured furniture. I'll consider that, Patty, but it's a little tough. It's a little tough. I think this Furniture Salvation has a good chance of showing that.
We find one.
Yeah. So he has got some, wow.
Yeah.
He sounds like a very ambitious guy, but he's young. I bet he's thinking about a business. I bet he's raring to go. We had a guy like that in England, remember, who I'll tell you the story, you guys. I don't mind going over, Patrick. I don't mind going over.
I know you still have Pam's to get to.
I like these stories. Keep coming with your stories about the pandemic and about if we've helped you and about all that. You know, I love that stuff. I really do. We had a guy in England, I won't tell any names or anything like that, but he owned a business. I don't know if it was a furniture store, but he was starting to get into furniture, custom furniture. So he had this person, I don't know if it was a friend of somebody, he was having trouble. He was, you know, and I'm very familiar with this because the 4 years that I taught upholstery, we also had people who had dual diagnosis, and some of that was alcoholism and things like that. Well, this person was having trouble. And he was in trouble, and he came to this person looking for a job, and the guy gave him the 8-way tie video, and he said, listen, you learn how to tie these springs with this video, you come back here, and if you do a good job, we'll hire you. Well, you know what, that guy, he looked at that video, he did the springs, redid them, took them apart, redid them, did them over and over again, became probably better than me at it, went back and he got a job. And last I heard, he was doing wonderfully, and he doesn't need to, you know, have that addiction, that nasty addiction. He's got an addiction to upholstery. So there you go. I mean, this stuff makes me cry sometimes. So we got one more on here: how to convert caning to upholstery. Somebody just asked me this question, and I referred them to this, another person. But this person says, oh, his name is Kat, C-A-T. Her name is Kat. I have a rocking chair that was my great-grandmother's that the caning and the seat is broken. This is a wonderful solution, thank you. There you go. So we like solutions. I think that was, I just plowed through all that, Patrick.
Yep, now you gotta do Pam's.
I don't see Pam's. Oh, did you give me that? Oh, I got it. Oh, so Pam, wow, she's got some really interesting pieces she finds. I wonder where she gets all this stuff from. And the name of her, is that the name of her business, the Visual Storyteller? Is that
No, I mean,
what's that mean?
it's a Facebook thing. I mean, she posts a lot of pictures and, you know what I mean?
Geez, I thought it was the name of your business. What a dope, right? As I'm saying, I don't do any of the technical stuff back there. I do it all up, you know, right here, right? So Pam.
That's a good name, though.
Yeah, it is. I like that. She says, I was asked to upholster this chair. What would be the best approach to a seat like this? Would it have a drop-in seat with the wooden bottom covered in some way? Look is for suggestions on best approach. Looking for suggestions on best approach. So, I definitely have a couple of ways you can do this. No drop-in unit. If you could see, you've got. Is this up, Patrick? For people to see. Is this up?
Yep.
So when you look at the seat, there's a little bit of a lip, an inner lip there. That's for her upholstery and anything else that she can get on there. And I say that because it's not much. It looks like the rest is the finished wood, right? So what I would do on this, one or two things. She could make a deck for this, a very minimized deck, meaning the webbing, you could do the webbing on top, although the better solution might be to web from the bottom, the seat webbing from the bottom, keeping away from the outer edges, and then fill that area up inside, and then put like with foam or cotton, probably foam and cotton, even or a little bit above the profile of the top. This is if you're going to a loose cushion, and then upholster a deck on there, even or profiled to the low profile, and then like a 3-inch box cushion, maybe made out of down, would be nice for that, an oval shaped cushion. I've seen them like that. Or if she really wants to get ambitious, she could put coil springs on this. Okay? She can coil spring this. I would say a number, she could use a number 1 spring, a small spring on this would be fine. And if you guys know what a number 1 spring is, actually we sell them. A number one spring is, you count 5 rungs in a spring, and anything over that is the number spring. So if you have a 6-rung spring, that's a number one spring. Don't ask me why they do it that way, but what you'd find, this is another reason why I might as well bring it up. That's really odd, isn't it? So a 7-rung spring is a number 2 spring. Why don't they call it a number 7? I don't know. But a lot of the measurements are old English measurements, right? So that should explain something. The ounces that, you know, we have in the tax, for instance, and things like that. It'll drive you crazy. Yardage, upholstery yardage is not 36 by 36, but 36 by 54. Who would know that, right?
Yeah, I made it fun putting all the sizes on the website.
Patrick had to, it was like learning a new language when he was doing the website. It's like learning a new language. It's really interesting. So I guess if somebody asked me, how many languages do I speak? I said a 2 maybe. One would be English and the other would be upholstery. But anyhow, so it's a good question. Another loaded question, Pam. Come on, that's extensive. But I wouldn't do what she said, a drop-in seat. Not on this one. Not with a wooden bottom. No. I would look for a webbing solution on that. So I think that's it. Unfortunately, I didn't.
One more comment. Jim says, I've been in the business for 49 years. And every day I learn something new.
Did you hear that, you guys? So if you're getting bored in the business, it means that you might not be doing it enough, or you're not varied enough in the type of furniture that you're doing, or you're not doing a volume. There's probably reasons why, but Jim, you're right. He's been upholstering longer than me, and he's still learning. We had guys that were in their 80s that when I first started, who were the same thing with them. They were saying they were just learning, and a lot of them, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, I'll close out with this, but I have very fond feelings and memories of some of my mentors were all Jewish men from the old world, and I often think today about how the tradition, they probably had in their tradition, father son passing down all the way back to tent makers. I bet that on that end, the tradition was tent makers, and then they worked up and up and up, and then upholsterers. In the modern sense, they became upholsterers. But you talk about tradition, huh? I mean, if you guys want to get into a business that has that type of tradition, I would strongly encourage you, and we have. So please, give us your stories. We love them, and I'll mention them in the comment section here on our next question and answer, which will be, Patrick,
next week.
Let's do it, because we're such an active day today. Right. Let's do it at 3 o'clock again, because I think more people are available, Patrick.
It seems that way. So. Yeah, we're experimenting still with the perfect time.
Yep. You know? And we've gone way over here, haven't we, Patrick?
This has been, I gotta say, it's been one of the best ones.
We've gone over, and I really,
not just because Janine made that donation.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
That's awesome.
You have to explain that to me. I don't know what that is. I've never gotten anything for nothing, but it isn't for nothing. I think she's rewarding us.
Yeah, she said it was a tip.
A tip for the tips that we give in the upholstery world, right? So we really appreciate that. So guys, this has been fun, question and answer. And we'll hope and pray that your business grows, or your hobby grows, or your psychological profile increases. We talk about profiling furniture, but what about your profile? We think that this business, I know for a fact, the 4 years I've done it as a therapy, it's wonderful therapy. If you only want to do it for that, pick up a hammer, pick up a small project like a slip seat, and you would feel so much better, I think. So hopefully we'll see you next time, and you'll have your stories about how upholstery's helped you when we see you next time. So thanks a lot. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.